we are recording. Okay, actually going to be doing this workshop or building bonus plans in 2 workshops. It's going to be this one, and it's going to be next one as well. This week, we're going to cover how to build your basic bonus plan with some validators. And then the next Zoom workshop in 2 weeks, we're going to cover kickers and activity plans, right? So a quick story while I share my screen, and you guys tell me if you can see my screen or not. I'm going to go ahead and just share my whole desktop, and everybody see my screen? Chelsea, Tyrell, did y'all see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, so, great. So hey, just a quick kind of story here. We when we started FrontRunner 3 years ago, I had said, hey, there couldn't be more than 5-10 different bonus plans at all, right? And so my other partners who were actually Start From agents, they were in their first year, said, "Oh, Adam, you have no clue what you're talking about." And they were right. I had no clue what I was talking about. I bet you there is a different plan for the number of State Farm agents. There's probably 19,000 plus State Farm agents. I bet you there's 19,000 different plans, right? So FrontRunner had a decision to make. It had to say, do we want to try to accommodate as many plans as possible, or do we want to box everybody in to a certain kind of plan like some other platforms do? So we made the decision to go the hard route, but what we felt like was going to be the most effective for the long run, and offer the ways to build bonus plans where it can accommodate thousands and thousands of plans. So that's exactly what we have done. Now, because we've done that, it's made, if you've ever been into agency setup step 3, you now notice that bonus plans there's a lot of stuff there, right? And we know it can be overwhelming, but the reason we have so many different ways to build things is because we want to make sure to serve everybody's needs. So, but today the goal is to make that a little bit less daunting. We want you to know that we would love for you to feel confident in building your own bonus and comp plans, but we also want you to know this, that we are here to help, right? And most of you, when you have a new comp plan, you typically send it to us, you start a live chat with us, and most often we can help you pretty quickly get that plan built. But we also do encourage you to keep learning the platform so that you don't have to wait on us. You can build your own plans, and we believe that this tutorial is also going to help as well. All right, so we're going to jump right on in. Now, this is going to build on the last Zoom workshop we did. So if you can see my demo account here, you can see my team members are Bobby Flay, Flava Flav, Gordon Ramsay. I think I was watching a cooking show when we were staging these, so that's why all those are there. And then when you build bonus plans, it's going to happen right here in agency setup. We have tried to make it as easy as possible as clear as possible into where you build, and how you manage your FrontRunner. So agency setup, 3 easy steps. 1, basic agency information. The second is management options. And then the third is where you build bonus plans. And that's going to be right here on step 3. Now, on the last call, we actually already went over how to what these questions meant, right? So we're not going to go through these things today, but these basically deal with how you want the system to pay and when you want the system to pay. So that's going to be really important, to make sure that your payment plan works. But today we're actually not going to cover that at all, because I want to make sure to save enough time for questions here at the end. Okay, so here we go. Zoom workshop on how to build bonus plans. Now, as we're building plans, I want you to think of your plan as a house or a room. Okay, and this is how we think about your plan when we're building it here at FrontRunner. We are thinking, okay, how does someone get into the house? In other words, how does somebody even start to be bonused? Is there a key to unlock the house? And then how are those keys sort of divided, right? So that's kind of how we like to think of it when we're building bonus plans for FrontRunner. So we're going to show you how to create keys, or what we call validators. Maybe some of you might call them unlocks. Again, there's different words that you use, but we're going to call them validators. What is it? What are the keys that unlock your plan? Some of you might have a plan that there is no key to unlock. They get some kind of a base, commission, and then they just tier up based upon premium or app count, no problem. Some of you do have things that some marks that you want your team to hit before they start being paid. So this is going to be a great call at the end also to maybe even talk about best practices. What's working for some of your teams, maybe what's not working in terms of motivating your team to do what it takes to sell more, right? Because that's the heart behind commission and bonus plans, is that they act as an incentive, right, for your team to perform at their highest levels. And so that's why many of you even chose FrontRunner so that they could track that automatically. Okay, so enough of all that. I am in step 3. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to build out 2 plans today. And hey, Chelsea or Tyrell, I'm going to make sure I've just pulled up a Word document. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So today we're going to build out two different plans. Okay, we're going to call the first one just plan 1. And then we're going to do the second one. It's called plan 2. Okay. Now we know that this is not anybody's specific plan. Maybe it's kind of close to your plan, but today you're going to learn the basics of how to build these plans, which is going to give you the building blocks to build out pretty much every other plan. All right. So this is plan 1 and then plan 2. And so let's just talk about plan 1 first. So plan 1 is going to be as follows. So you've got an auto fire. Your PNC plan is going to have 4 levels. The first level is a 1% base. You're just going to pay them that no matter what. Level 2 is you're going to pay them 3% on auto and fire, but they have to write $20,000 in PNC premium. So that's actually very common. The third level is that you're going to pay them 5% of PNC, but they got to write $30,000 in PNC premium, and they have to write 1 life. The last level, 7% with $30,000 written in PNC, but then they have to write 3 life. But what we're also going to say is all added policies, you only want to pay $10 per policy. Now, why do agents do that? Well, many of you know why, right? Because those added policies are existing customers. And so you want to incentivize to go get to go get new customers in the door as much as possible, while still, ensuring that your team is comped for that work they have to do to add a policy to a plan. So we're going to build this. Now, I know, some of you might say, hey, Adam, I really want my team to do something before I pay them anything. No problem. We're actually going to show you how to do that in the next part. So here we go. All right. So this is auto plan number 1. So the first thing that we like to do is we like to think about the keys. Remember, we talked about it as a house. What are the keys to get in the house? All right. So first off, the first room of the house, the base, there is no key. So let's build out the base. Here we go. All right, so we're going to scroll past these questions because we already talked about them last time. We're going to scroll past the dashboard configuration. And we're going to get to the bonus plan. Now, the first thing that you're going to see is to build a bonus plan level. You would click on the product that you want to build. Okay, auto, fire, life, health, and then there's the bank, even though I know most of us don't sell any bank anymore, other than maybe like a mortgage or something. So here's auto, and what we're going to do is we're going to create plan levels here, and then we're going to take all those plan levels and we're going to put them in what's called a tier, right? So they can tier up. So here we go. So plan level 1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to name it base. And then in the description, I like to put what they're being paid for, what that percentage is. Why is that? Because when your team hits that level, they're going to be able to see what plan level they obtained, and they're going to be able to see the description. So I want to make it as descriptive as possible, right? So base is going to be 1% for raw new, and then I'm going to say $10 for added. All right, and then I'm going to hit save. All right, now I've labeled the plan here. This is our base, 1% raw new, 10% added. And now what I want to do is I want to start putting the information right in here. Now, an important note, when you start building your plans, make sure the plan that you're editing is clicked on. This is a common mistake that, right, Chelsea, Tyrell, even happens to us right here in our support office. Okay. We'll start building out a plan level and we see that this has not been clicked. And then kind of what you'll find out is that there's no way to hit save down here because a plan level's not been selected. Okay, so we're going to select the plan level. It's now blue. That means that the information I'm configuring in here is for this plan level. All right. So if we look at this, the plan level is going to pay 1% for base. All right. So here's what we're going to do. This over here, not every one of these boxes will apply to you. So that's important to know. All right. So here we go. First, include written sales on qualifications. Right now, we're just going to say no because there's no qualifications. Okay. Then it's going to ask you, are there keys? Remember, we talked about a key to get in the house is what we call a validator. So far, that's not there. So we're going to leave that blank as well. All right. The next box down is saying, is there a minimum policy count to qualify? Now, many of you might have plans that tier up based on the amount of policies written or even issued. Now, let me be really clear on this. In fact, most of our team doesn't even click this button ever on a plan. And the reason is because when you click this button and let's say you need 10 policies to tier up to the next level for a plan, if you click this, it's only going to look at policies that were issued in that month. So if you wrote a policy at the end of last month, but it didn't issue till this month, you can't use this box to tier up a plan because it's not going to count that policy. All right, that's a common mistake. We see it all the time. So most often we don't even check this box. You're going to ask me, Adam, why are there so many boxes that you don't use so much? Well, it's because FrontRunner's been an evolution, right? This is starting our third really full year in business. We serve hundreds and hundreds of agents and thousands of team members across the country. And so we've built on and we've grown and we've progressed in what we can do. However, there are some things that we had initially that we don't use as much anymore, but we still do have people that use them. So that's why you're going to see this. I'm going to show you just the most important things that can build out 95% of all bonus plans. All right, so here's our 1% base. And I'm not going to pay a per policy cash bonus, but I am going to pay a premium bonus. In other words, I want to pay a percentage on the premium when complete. All right.
You are going to pay a per policy.
We are not. Hey, Chelsea, good catch. Actually, that is a great catch. Yes, I am going to pay a per policy. I'm going to pay $10 for that added. So thank you, Chelsea, for that. Good catch. So I do want to select both because I'm going to pay $10 for my added. So I want to click that. And I am going to pay 1% on my base. So I'm going to select this, okay? Now what happens is that when you select these, it opens up what we call the plan schedule. So in other words, we're going to tell our bonus plan how we want to pay and what we want to pay, how we want to pay up here. And then we're going to tell it down here what to pay. All right. So we're going to pay a premium bonus one schedule, and then it's going to ask, well, which premium do you want to pay? You want to pay the sale premium, the written, the issued, or the collected? All right. Now, 95% of the time, you want to leave it on sale premium. And many of you might ask, well, Adam, what is sale premium? Sale premium is the most updated, last known premium for a policy in FrontRunner. For instance, when you write a policy for, let's just say $500, and when it issues, if it issues at $500, many of you just go back and put the issue date, right? And so FrontRunner is smart enough to take that written premium and push it over to the issued premium automatically, all right? But it's not going to show in the issued premium box. So the last remaining premium, whether it was written or issued, we call that sale premium or final sale premium. So we really almost always will never select off of sale premium. Here's why. Because if you do issued or written, if a policy doesn't have any issued premium because you only left premium in the written box and issued it, that policy is not going to count because technically there's not any premium in that issued box. All right. So sale premium will just ensure that your team is going to be paid for the last known premium of that policy. Okay. So that's what that is. Okay. There's a couple of other items over here as well. But these are selected by default. Okay. So the plan schedule is going to be product based, not source type based. You could build a plan that you pay from different sources, but we're not going to do that. You can pay a lump sum bonus, but we also are not going to do that because now most often this is done in a kicker, and we'll talk about that next time. And then this limiting payouts, it is most often not needed unless there's a max amount that you want to pay on the new policy. Again, most agents don't use this because they manage their max payouts in levels. So we're not going to worry about that. So the most important things are, I want to pay a per policy cash bonus for the added. I want to pay a percentage bonus. So I'm going to select premium, and there's no unlock keys right there. Okay, so now what I've done is now I've opened up my plan schedules. Now let me roll back up here. You see there's a minimum financial services to qualify. You can totally use this box if you would like. However, our FrontRunner team, we never use this box anymore. Well, Adam, why is it there? Well, it's because this is how we initially, when we built FrontRunner, had people had to configure plans that had financial service minimums, like you have to ride a life or something like that. The reason why we don't use this box anymore is because now all of those rules or those keys are handled upstairs in our validators. And I'm going to show you that here in a minute. So most often you'll never use that box as well. Okay, plan schedule, here we go. So I'm going to pay 1% on raw new and 10% added. So it's as easy as this. So here's my per policy schedule. So I'm going to I want to pick something to pay, and we'll just do any category. You know, if you pay different for your different policy types, you can select any of those, or you can hit add all. But right now we're going to do any category and hit that plus button. Perfect. Now you see it's asking us for a dollar amount per business type. All right. So right now we're just paying $10 per added policy, which is going to be right there. And we're going to pop it right here into the added box. Now notice I'm not going to put anything new or referral or reinstated or transfer, because on the new, we want to be able to pay a percentage. So we're going to pay it 0 there. All right, now we're going to do the same thing for premium schedule. We're going to go and we're going to select, any category, hit the plus button, and I'm going to put 0% for added, because remember I'm paying $10 for my addeds. And then now I'm going to put 1% for my new. Okay. On this plan, I'm not going to pay anything for referrals or reinstated or transfer. Many of you do, no problem. So you could totally just put your percentages right in there. All right. And so that's going to be level 1. I'm going to make sure to hit save. All right. And there it is. I've got my base now is 1%. Easy as that. All right. So now I'm going to go look at my second one. My second level is going to be level 2. It's going to pay 3%. But I want my team to write $20,000 in written P&C premium. Okay, so this $20,000 in P&C premium is what we call a validator, or it's called a key. So we're going to go up and we're going to create this key, and then we're going to create this plan with a key to unlock it. So here we go. Okay, so now all of our keys are created right up here at the top, called premium, managed premium validations. We are working on a redesign where we're going to put these closer down towards the plan level, but right now it's going to be in question number 14. All right. So we're going to go manage premium validations. This doesn't matter whether it's no or yes, because we're going to assign them per the plan. All right. And we're going to hit new validation, and we're going to call it level 2. Okay. And then we're going to now say, here's the condition, add a condition. And for my team member, I want my product to be P&C. And I want my sale premium, see that? To have a minimum value of $20,000. Is that $20,000 or $200,000? I think that's $20,000, great. Okay, it can be fine on any business type, or I can say, nope, I just want to count new policies. I'm going to say any business type, coming from any source. And then this is going to be an important box down here. This box right here is going to say what sale dates are you going to count? So most often, I want this to be written premium, so you can write it whenever you want. Okay, so I'm just going to say sales written on the period. That's what I want to tier up. Now, if you only want issued sales to tier up your plans, you can say sales issued on the period and written anytime, or you can just say sales written and issued on the same period. I'm going to say, you know what, just sales written on the period is what's going to be my key. Boom, there it is. Okay, now you'll notice here, I'm just doing it for each team member. You can totally say agency premium and tier up your plans based on agency premium. That would count everybody's production, but Most often it's just the team member's production. So there's level 2. All right, now I'm going to go down and I'm going to create now a second level. Here's my base. So now I'm going to call this level 2. And now we're going to call this 3% with 20,000 in premium. I'm going to make it more specific, written premium. There it is. Hit save. Okay, awesome. So now I've got my second level. Now remember, I need to highlight the plan if I want to edit it over here. And now what I'm going to do is now I'm going to assign a key. In other words, I'm going to tell FrontRunner what to look for to unlock this level. So I'm going to go to my keys. I'm going to go find my level 2. Now remember, I have to hit level 2 and I have to hit this plus button. If I don't hit this plus button, it's not going to count. So I'm going to do boom, level 2. All right, now I've got the key and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the same steps I did last time. So per policy cash bonus for my added, premium bonus, everything else looks fine here. Okay, now I'm going to go down to my plan schedule, select any category, put my addeds at $10 because that's not going to change per level. If it does, you can make that number bigger. I'm going to do any category, and I'm going to put my new now at 3%, and I'm going to hit save. Okay, so there's my second level, base, and then level 2. Okay, so now it's time to go ahead and create my other level. So let's go level 3. It's going to be 5% with 30,000 written in PNC, and I want them to write 1 life to unlock that level. So we're going to go up and we're going to create our key first. Remember, that's going to be question number 14, manage premium validations. I'm going to create level 3 unlock. Team member product is PNC. Okay, sell premium. I want it to be a minimum of 30,000. Any business type, and I want it to be written on the period. But now I want them to also write 1 life. So you see this? Now I'm going to hit add a condition. Boom. And I want them to do life. I want them to write 1, any business type, and I just want them to write it. Now, most people validate on written life because we know how long it takes State Farm, right, to issue life policies. But if you do issued, if you only validate on issued life, no problem. We would then encourage you to say issued on the period and written anytime. Okay, so now I've created this key, level 3. Okay, there it is. And while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and create my level 4 key now that we know the process. So level 4, I hit add condition. And it's still going to be, for my level 4, which is 7%, it's still going to be 30,000 in PNC premium, written on the period. But then I also want for them to write 3 life. I think that's what I have, right? Yep, and 3 written life. Life cell count, I want that to be 3, and it's going to be written on the period. All right, now some of you are like, well, Adam, they could do one or the other. No problem. You can select that and do or, so they could do 30,000 in PNC premium or 3 life. Or you might say, Adam, they could do 30,000 in premium and write 3 life, or they can just write 5 life. Well, that's what we have add group. So watch this. I could say add group. So they could do all of this, or if you see this box around, it means or they can do all of this. Product is life, 5, written on the period. So that would let them do either thing to unlock it, right? So we're just creating our levels. So for this plan, we're not going to do that, and we're going to hit save. And there's my level 4 unlock. All right, so now all I got to do is just go back and finish building out my levels. So I need to build out my 3% level and my 7% level. So let's do that right now. Okay, so I'm going back to auto. I'm going to call this level 3. And I'm going to say I'm going to pay 5% with 30,000 and 1 written life. Okay, I'm going to hit save. Remember to select my plan, go find my key, make sure to check my per policy and my premium. Remember, nothing else changes there. Select my any category, go add my $10, and now there's my 5%. Boom, and I'm done. Now, one thing I haven't showed you is that maybe you have a bunch of a bunch of things that you've configured up here, or maybe you're configuring a bunch of different categories and you're like, Adam, I don't want to sit there and redo all the information. We have a little handy duplicate button. And this really plays into effect when we start building kickers next workshop. But I can totally hit duplicate here, the plan. It's going to say, do you want to duplicate it? I say, yep. So I'm going to say, yep, I want to duplicate it for level 4. Now that's going to pay 7%. It's going to say 3 written life and hit save. Okay, now I've duplicated the plan. But now remember, I need to go change my validator. So we're going to have level 4. And then I'm going to change how much I'm paying down here to 7. Okay, so I have now built out my entire plan. Now you can add as many validators as you want here. That's the great thing about using validators over using this minimum services qualifies, because you can really have it say anything you want. Also, the cool thing about our validators is that you can validate on activities, right? So you can choose an activity and say, you could say, hey, you have to average 100 calls a day to open up bonus, and you can totally build that in the validators. So, all right, now that I've got all my plan levels done, I now have to put them in a tier, right? Because I want them to tier up. So I'm going to go create a new bonus tier plan, and I'm going to call this my auto plan. Now I'm going to just go add my tiers. Here's my base. Here's my 2%. Excuse me. Yep. 3%. Here's my 5. And here's my 7. See how easy that is? And then you can also rearrange the plan levels by dragging and dropping as well. All right, now I'm going to hit save. And now look how easy this is. Now I've created my auto plan. And so I know it seems daunting, but it really is as easy as that. We create the plan levels, create the keys, tell the plan what you want it to do. Now, the last step after you create a plan is you need to assign it to your team. So you're going to roll right down here, past kicker plans to bonus plan assignments. And you're going to select your product line auto. I'm going to select that plan I just built. Now, I could select a certain level. So you might say, hey, I want this person to only ever be paid base. You can select base and assign it to them, and that will be the only plan level that they can achieve. Or you can assign everybody to the tier plan, which is what we're going to do. All team members, all months, action, apply all. Now that's added it to everybody, and at the bottom, I'm going to hit save. Now you'll notice, do you notice how that's gray? This is a common question we get. The reason it is gray is because this person has, on step number 2, their bonus and commissions thing is not checked. So if you ever see a team member where their plan level's gray, it's because that thing's unchecked. Go check it, it'll open it right up. All right, now you can also assign things individually by months. You could say, yeah, hey, for Bobby Flay, for the month of April, I don't want him to have the tier plan. I just want him to have level 1. And you can just change it per the month as well. Easy as that. Now, I'm not going to build out now the fire, because the fire is going to be exactly in this plan. The fire is going to be exactly like the auto, right? But you would want to make sure to do fire as well so that you have your auto plan, and you're going to build fire plan out in the exact same way. All right, so that's how you build those levels. Now our next part of our plan is life. So I'm going to have 3 levels of life: 10% on term, 15% on whole life, and I'm going to do 15% on level 2, 15%, 20%, but I want 200 in monthly premium to qualify. Or we're going to be level 3, 20% term, 25% whole life, with 400 in monthly premium to qualify. So let's build out our life plan here. So we're going to go back to FrontRunner, and we're going to select life. Okay, and we're going to do level 1. We're going to call this life base, and I'm going to say 10% on term, 15% on whole life. So is that what I have? Yep, that's what I have. Okay, so now I'm going to hit save, and right now I've created my plan. Now, do you see how it's gray? You got to select that. Alrighty, so 10% on term and whole life. Now we're not doing any per policy cash bonus, so I'm going to leave that blank. We have no validator. There's nothing they have to do to unlock the plan. You're going to pay that from number 1. You won't have to click that as well. And so now I'm just going to scroll right on down and go to my premium schedule. And now, rather than having to hit any category. I actually want to hit add all, but here's the problem. I forgot to select that. So that's why it's gray. See that? See how that works? Alrighty. So now I'm going to go right down to here, premium schedule. And I want to hit add all. Boom, there it is. Now I can pay it by the product type here. Okay, so let's do this. So first I'm going to delete this any category because it just puts it in there automatically. And remember, I'm going to pay 15% on my whole or universal, and I'm going to pay 10% on my term. So then I would go down and add all of these. So it's 15%. There's 15%. There's your limited. I don't know if limited's whole or again, I'm not a State Farm agent, but I think that might be a term policy. If I'm wrong, somebody can speak up right now. The ROP is going to also be a term, and I don't know if those are term or whole life. I do know. It's not coming to me. 10.
That's actually quite a good question because I feel like some agents pay that differently as well, but don't really
differently.
Yeah.
Sure, totally. Final expenses, your single premiums. I think those are that. And then we'll do like 15%. Again, I could be totally wrong where these are whole or limited. Don't judge me by that. I'm going to State Farm agent. At this point, I could be a pretty good team member. But anyway, so do you see that? Now I have configured each of those how I want. I didn't do the select 10, 20, 30. I think those are term, but anyway, there they are. Now I'm going to hit save. And there's my plan. Now so this is going to be plan level number 1. Now remember, I've got a second plan, 15% and 20, but they have to do 200% in monthly premium, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a second level. Well, I tell you what, back up. Let's keep going in order. I'm going to go create my key first. So we're going to go back to number 14. Manage premium validations. And I'm going to go build my key. And we're going to say life level 2. Yep, we're going to say life level 2. Let's say 15% on term, but I want 200 in monthly premium, no problem. So I'm going to select my condition. Product is, I'm just going to select life. And now I'm going to say collected premium here. Okay, and I want it to be 200 in collected, just written on the period. All right, so collected also means monthly there. I'm going to hit save. Now, while I'm in here, I want to go ahead and create my other key. So we're going to go life level 3. And we're going to say product is life. And we're going to say collected premium. And I think I put 400 there. I did 400 monthly premium written on the period. Okay, now I'm going to hit save. So now I've created my 2 life keys. And now let's go create my bonus levels. So we're going to go life level 2. Life level 2. I'm going to do the 15% for term. I'm going to do the 20% for whole life. Okay, I'm going to assign my key. Remember, we just talked about that. Then everything else is exactly the same. Pay premium once qualified. Come down here to my premium schedule. I'll go ahead and hit add all, remove that one. And then I'll go down there and start assigning my percentages. Okay, I'm not going to do it right now to waste everybody's time. Once I've got them assigned, I hit save. And then I go build plan level 3. I'm not going to do that because right now because we've already walked through how to do it. Once we're done, we're going to create a brand new tier. I'm going to call it the life plan. Add my levels, hit save, and then I'm going to go down and assign it right in my bonus plan matrix. I'm going to select life. I want to select my life tier plan, all team members, all months, hit apply plan. All right, perfect. And so my final plan I want to build is my health plan. So health plan, many of you pay this way. I want to pay 1 month of premium. So many of you think about that, 1 month of premium. Now, there's a couple ways that we build this here at FrontRunner. We can do the 1 month of premium, do 100% of 1 month of collected premium. But how we like to do it is under health, we like to build a health plan, create new plan, We're going to call it health. And we're going to say 1 month of premium. All right, save. Again, same thing as the other plans. Once you start building plans, you see it's the same things over and over. I don't have a key on it. I'm going to pay a premium bonus once qualified. Okay, I'm going to pay the sale premium, even though I'm going to pay 1 month. Watch how this works. I'm now going to say any category, and if you take the 1 month and divide it by 12, you get 8.33%. That's going to equal 1 month. So if you put the sale premium in, the final issued premium, right? So whatever that is for the annual, 1 month is equal to 18.33%. So if you wanted to pay the first 2 months, you would put in 16.66, however you wanted to do. So we're going to do 1 month, 8.33, and we're going to hit save. Okay, now that's going to pay out 1 month. Then I'm going to go down to my plan level. And I'm going to assign everybody to the health plan. Okay, select health, all team members, all month, and we're going to hit save. All right, now there's a second way that you can do this health plan. You could say, hey, Adam, I want to say I'm going to pay 100% of the first month's premium. So you could come down here and say, I'm going to pay 100%. Okay, but you would want to come back up here and say, but I want to pay the collected premium, not the sale premium, because that would be a pretty big bonus. So now we're going to say, yep, I want to pay 100% of the collected premium. And we're going to hit save. All right, perfect. And then all you would want to make sure that your team does is when they write a life sale or a health sale for this matter, you're going to come over to health, select your product, put in the name. Doesn't really matter. Oh, I need to do something first. If you're going to base something off of collected premium, you do have to do something. You do need to go over here to agency setup, step 2, and come down to the product line, which is down here. Hit edit by the product, by health, and then you want to select with payment frequency. That's going to turn on the ability to do a payment frequency. Okay, so let's go back over to the sales. So let's do that again. Now we're going to go to health, a test, that, there's my premium. Right, and then notice on this payment frequency, if you're going to pay it on the collected premium, your team has to select monthly. See that? See how it changes that collected premium box? That's really important. In fact, this is a common question we get at FrontRunner is, hey, why is the life bonus so much? Because I'm paying it on collected premium. Well, it's because your team's forgotten to put payment frequency in. So that's why we most often do the 8.33% of the whole year premium, or 16.6 for 2 months. It just makes it easier. But if you wanted to do it on collected premium, you can do monthly. There's a collected premium. Hit save. And now that's going to work for your bonus plan. Okay, so that is how you build out some of the most basic bonus plans based on premium. But what happens if you do a per policy? Because a lot of you want to tier it up per policy. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to go back over to FrontRunner, and we're going to go back to our bonus plans. And then what you're going to do now is we're going to create a second bonus plan. Now, here's the cool thing about FrontRunner. You can create as many bonus plans as you want. You can create a different bonus plan for every team member. So we're going to call this base number 2. Okay. And we're going to look at our levels here. So here's our levels. We're going to say 0 to 9 policies, you're going to pay $10 a policy. 10 to 19 policies, you're going to pay $15 a policy. Level 3 is going to pay 20 policies. You're going to pay $20 per policy. But now notice something here now. Now we've got something to unlock commission. Many of you have something that you want your team to do to even unlock commission. And so that's different than the plan I built up here, where you paid them a base, but then you made them do something later to unlock. Again, one way is not right over the other. It's just different. So first, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to create this unlock. Okay, so let's go do that. Let's go back over to our plans. I'll go ahead and since I start, I'll just cancel that out for a second. Now I'm going to go up here to number 14. Remember, 14 is a really important one. And we're going to call this auto unlock. Okay. And now what I want is I want 10 auto written. And hey, just for namesake, I say I want 10 raw new, and I want them issued on the period and written anytime. I think I might say written on the period here, but nope. No, in fact, I said 10 auto and 5 fire issued. Okay, perfect. So now we'll say issued on the period, written anytime. So that will make sure to count those policies that may be written on late last month, but issued this month. So there's the 10, but then I also want them, and product is fire. I want them to issue 5. Issued on the period, written anytime, and hit save. Okay. So now I've created my unlock, and now it's time to start creating my plan. So plan number 1. So we're going to call this plan 2 base, right? And we're going to pay 0 to 9, 10 per, I'm going to say 0 to 9 policies, $10 per. $10 per. All right, there it is. All right, perfect. Now I'm going to hit save. Now there's my plan 2 base. I'm going to go get my auto unlock, hit that. Now remember, I'm not going to pay a premium bonus. Now I'm just going to pay per policy. Now we're going to go back to the per policy schedule, hit any category, and we're going to pay $10 per. All right. Now I'm ready to build plan level 2, which is at the 10th policy, I want it to pay $15 for all the policies backdated. Okay, so we're going to go, and this is still going to be a key. Okay, because it's going to start at policy number 10. Now, you could create a new plan level and say use minimum policy count to qualify and put 10. You could do that. However, remember, if you do that, it's not going to count policies that were written last month and issued this month. That's why we like to do this up in our keys, our validators, how we get into the house. Okay, so we're going to create plan level 2. It's going to be up at number 14. Okay, we're going to say auto level 2. And we're going to say product is auto. And I want to start it at 10. And it's going to be issued on the period and written anytime. And again, since I'm already in here, I'll probably go ahead and create my other levels. Auto level 3. Auto. Sale count, I think it's going to be on the 20th. I'm going to pay something more. Issued on the period written anytime. Okay, so now I head on down. And now I'm ready to build my second part. So I'm going to say plan 2 level 2. And I'm going to say now 10 to 19 policies. It's going to be $15 per. Save that. Remember to select your plan level. Select your auto level 2 unlock. Plus, I'm going to pay a per policy cash bonus once they unlock it. Now, remember this though too. Now remember, on the second level, this is very important. You still have to put in your auto unlock. So you need actually 2 validators here, because you still want them to write 10 and 5, but then here is your level 2. The reason you have to do this is because this is going to also look at the fire, because this, if you didn't put this in, this auto unlock, it would allow them at their 10th policy to tier up. And even if they didn't have any fire written, it would start paying them. Well, you don't want to pay them anything until they at least write 5 fire. So you need to put that unlock on every level of every plan. So there's my per policy cash bonus. I'm going to go to my per policy schedule, and we're going to hit $15 and hit save. Okay. So then I would just create my third level, and then once again, create my tier plan, auto plan 2, add the levels that I want to add. So the base and level 2, which there would have been a third level if I would have built it out, but for time, I'm not going to. And we hit save. And then I can go down and I can assign that one. Now, that one, you can say, you know what, I just want to assign that to a different team member. No problem. We can say, yep, auto plan 2. I only want that to be valid for Gordon Ramsay. So I can do Gordon Ramsay only, action, apply all, and hit save. Okay. So that is how you build basic bonus plans, right? Now, I'm not going to go down here through the rest of these items. In this plan 2, I was going to pay different for homeowners than I did a PLUP or renters. Again, you would follow the same steps that we did for what we did for life up here. Rather than hit any category under the plan schedule, you would hit add all, delete the ones that you don't want to configure, and then put a different dollar amount per each one there. Okay, so that's how you build the basic bonus plan. And many of you are like, "Wow, Adam, that's exactly my plan. It's exactly how I build it." Some of you are like, might be, Adam, it doesn't look like my plan. That's okay. I've given you all of the keys right in this to know how to build the majority of bonus plans.